Okay, guys, so I am doing a portrait right now of my daughter, but I changed the light source. So right now I have a lamp, which is tungsten light. So I want you to see that I had to change my settings to 3200 because it's a little bit lower. Let me go back here. Sorry, guys. And then I want you to see, for those of you that have cameras, of course, that I changed from fluorescent to tungsten. All right, so if I leave this on fluorescent, let me go back to fluorescent. And I point towards her. She goes like very orange, all right, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go back again and I'm going to put it on tungsten, and that like tones her skin down. I'm leaving it here on portrait again. I'm going to put it here on continuous shot, right? Because I want to make sure that I take several shots again. Here's the thing that you're gonna notice. I'm in her room and I'm doing these portraits. First, I started over here next to a wall, and now I'm moving over here. But if you notice in her room, she's got like fairy lights. So I did a different portrait shot using those like Christmas lights. If you don't have them, maybe going to like a store to buy them. I don't know if they might have them, but or borrow some from someone. If you have a camera, like you don't have, sorry, a cell phone, you don't have a camera, that is perfect because your lens on your phone, especially if you have like an iPhone 10, your f-stop number is 1.8. And if you guys remember briefly what I talked about as far as f-stop, the lower the f-stop number, the more blur your background is going to look. So whenever you're doing a portrait, you want to go to the lowest f-stop number that your camera has. All right, so if you don't have a camera, it's not a big deal. Everything that I showed in the previous video applies here. I can have this light source and use a cell phone, and I can just have like split light. All right, if you look at the camera, do you see the split lighting?
Yeah.
Okay, so split light. This is butterfly, right? So you might need someone to help you with this, or she can just sit right under this light source on the ground and you can take that portrait. If I have this light source like here, then I get a little bit more of a Rembrandt shot. And if I have this light source in front of her, then I have the broad light. So I feel like with the lamp it's a little bit easier because I don't have to, like, she doesn't have to move around. I can move the light source, or I can have somebody move the light source. But if not, if it's still stationary, you can use this kind of light source and have the person move just like I showed in the previous video. All right, so I'm just gonna take this one shot so that you guys can see the difference of what it looks like. I feel like it's a little too bright, so I'm gonna go to 1600. Yeah, that's a personal preference. I prefer my portraits to look a little bit darker. That's all up to you. So if you want them a little bit brighter, like pastel-y looking, then go with a higher ISO. But remember that the rule for using an ISO is you always want to keep the lowest ISO because the quality of the photo is better. The higher the ISO, the grainier the image is going to look. There are some times that you're going to have to use that because maybe I'm doing a portrait lighting assignment at night outside, which you guys are welcome to do as well when you're using this assignment. Like going outside on your porch and having a light source like this and just having the person move around, you can satisfy the assignment. Turn your face more towards the light. Yep. Pretty. Okay. And again, you want to take several shots. I want you to notice the difference in the lighting that it does with the portraits and with the background. So like the backgrounds tend to be a little bit smoky or darker when you're using a tungsten light, it's a little bit more, I don't know, like warm. All right. So think about that when you're doing your portraits. Like, decide if you want to use a fluorescent light. Fluorescent looks brighter, right? Your blues are going to look bluer. And these, like the tungsten lights, are going to make your portraits look a little bit warmer. I prefer the tungsten light, but that's just my preference. You can use something else called backlighting. So what does that mean? Maybe I have a lamp, yeah, that's like behind her, okay? And I don't know if you guys noticed, but this whole background got a little bit lighter. Now, when I'm using backlight, notice that her front got darker. So I would need another lamp to place it in front of her so that it lights her up. One of the things that I can use also is using a mirror to kind of bounce back some light on her face, okay? Yeah, to just bounce back some light on her face. You can have somebody at home help you out with this. Yeah, the other thing that I want to show you guys too is sometimes, like, they can use a mirror. Can you hold that? They can use a mirror, and you're still like doing a broad light or anything like that. And instead of having the portrait of them, I may shoot like the picture of what she looks like in the mirror. So the mirror becomes a frame for us, all right? So I want you to turn, hold on. Yeah, turn so like that light is hitting your face. I can't get it.
Okay.
Are you getting it, Lucy?
No, but I can see it on the camera.
Let's move this. I need you to move back a little bit. No, like, yeah, there. Okay, so I'm just showing you split light right here, but I'm using my frame, my mirror as my frame. All right, not the best shot. I would never post that. Why? Because her face doesn't look like she was ready for a shot. I just want to show you guys, you know, to think outside of the box and think just creatively. I want you guys to get used to when you're taking a portrait, not just taking one shot. But if you ever have taken a family portrait with a photographer that's a decent photographer, or if you've been to a wedding and you've noticed the portrait photographer there, they're never going to take just one shot of a person and call it a day. They're taking several shots, and they're moving them from, all right, let's go behind the gazebo, let's go in front of this bush, like let's go in this area of the hall. Like, so I just want you guys to think about portrait lighting, and you know, I want you to think about just creative ways that you can do a decent portrait lighting even from the confines of your home. All right, it'll make you a better photographer that you're like so limited because of the fact that you've got to think outside of the box. And that's what's going to make you a better photographer than Joe Schmo photographer. All right, so that is all for today. Thank you all, Raider Nation.